Here comes Miles Price up the center to the 30. Oh, he shakes the tackle at the 40, gets out to the right to the 50. In Lions territory to the 35-yard line. Miles Price with the longest kick return of his young career. That goes for 59 yards. And the Minnesota Vikings punch back with a kick return. 7-0 Lions, first and goal, Minnesota from the 9. McCarthy out of the shotgun, throws right to the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! A one-handed catch by Justin Jefferson. And the Minnesota Vikings are an extra point from tying the game. Way to go, J.J. McCarthy. First and goal from the 7, McCarthy out of the shotgun. Jefferson in motion to the left. They fake a handoff to J.J. And McCarthy rolls out to the right. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Former Lion T.J. Hawkinson catches that sidearm fastball from J.J. McCarthy. And the Minnesota Vikings have taken a 13-7 lead. First down, Jared Goff out of the shotgun from his 30, looking left. Here's a blitz. Goff is hit, and Jared Goff is sacked. Back at the 23-yard line. Silence ensues at Ford Field. Third down, 3rd and 6 from the Viking 46 for Jared Goff out of the shotgun. 3 receivers to the right. Gibbs stands to the right of Goff. Laporta opposite Bernard to the left. Snap, Vikings blitz. Cashman got through. And Jared Goff is sacked again! Blake Cashman, one of several to get through, along with the likes of Eric Wilson, Javon Hargrave with a big rush. Lions ain't going to go for it on this 4th and 16. Instead, they're going to punt. 2nd and 15 from the Vikings 22. McCarthy out of the shotgun. Takes a handoff to Mason. Loops it left to Jones. Great play. Gets to the 30 by the sideline to the 40. Aaron Jones chopped down at the 50-yard line. And he falls ahead to the Lions 47. A catch and run by Aaron Jones. 31 yards, first down. 3rd and 13 from their own 6. Goff. He's going to toss it left. Montgomery bobbles it, turns it up outside the numbers to the 5. He dropped it, and Harry the Hitman, he picks it up at the 35, angles to the right, and he's tackled by David Montgomery. The Vikings get the first take of this division collision, and they get the ball in Lions territory. Harrison Smith with the fumble recovery, and for the Hitman, the 10th of his career. Jordan Mason, the tailback to the left of the former Michigan Wolverine, J.J. McCarthy, who takes the snap. Short drop, runs out to the right. What's he going to do? He's going to run. 10, 5, end zone, touchdown! He's J.J. McCarthy with another rushing touchdown this season, and the Vikings have a 23-14 lead. Elk River, Minnesota, welcome to the Friday Football Feed. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a funky good time today and all throughout the weekend. Welcome. Welcome. Those in the back room over there, we never can see at Elk River, a very spacious Buffalo Wild Wings. Hey, welcome to the Friday Football Feast. Good to see you over there. Ladies and gentlemen, to my left, a round of applause for engineer extraordinaire Jared Wells. The street team is over there. That's Alec Lewis from The Athletic. A round of applause. Eric Nordquist, mad producer from 9 to noon. And welcome to the Friday Football Feast. We got a lot of minutia to get into, but first, anybody want free shirts? Make some noise. Hey, hey, come on with these strong arms. Make some noise. Come on now.
I almost hit a beer over there.
I hit 3. Hey, hey, hi. All right.
That hurt somebody.
Alec, good morning.
Hey, Paul, how are you?
Nordo, good morning.
Good morning,
Did you know this is the biggest Buffalo Wild Wings in Minnesota?
J-Dub, good morning.
Good morning.
How do we feel about J.J. McCarthy into this one? J.J. McCarthy at Ford Field. How about
There we go.
J.J. Season's what they call it. And I'm going to set it up like this, Alec, you first. The team, but the 22-year-old quarterback, was quite hyped off the fourth quarter. He and the team had at Soldier Field. Then we had the home opener against Atlanta and failed to generate a touchdown. So JJ, back off the layoff, he and the team hyped off a very big win at Detroit. How about that win at Ford Field? You feel good about that? And now he comes back home. So he comes back home with a lot of local and national praise, likewise for the football team. And we are looking for full game consistency, like we found at Ford Field with J.J. McCarthy. He's back at home versus the Baltimore Ravens. What are you thinking about all that, Mr. Alec Lewis?
Yeah, I can't wait for the game. I told somebody outside, he gave me a Ravens stat that was spectacular. I can't repeat it. It was harsh. But
what do you mean?
It's
a stat.
There was a guy, he was a really nice guy, but he was telling me about how when you play the Ravens, if you lose,
it's coaches
get fired or something. I don't really know what was going on. J.J. McCarthy,
saw that.
I just don't think, like...
wait, what's the other side of it? If you beat the Ravens...
you make the NFC North.
No, the NFC title game.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So it's early. It's early.
Yeah, we saw it early in the week and found it to be rubbish.
J.J. McCarthy in this game, I expect him to be much more... comfortable, confident, and composed than he was in week 2 against the Falcons coming back home. Just feel like the time that he had to sit and watch, it wasn't easy, but I for him, because he is a guy, and I wrote this after the game, like, this guy does not like sitting. He does not like not playing. It really gets to him because of how much he enjoys being in the fight. And so there is an immense just pride that he takes in being out there. I think for Kevin O'Connell in this game, you want to keep him from having to make 20 throws in the game. It's right. Can you make 7 to 10 throws in key moments, third downs, red zone throws? And if you can do that, I think the trajectory and the path that it feels like he could go on these last 9 games, he will go on.
I tend to agree with you in terms of his poise and maybe just being a little bit calmer. After NFC Player of the Week, it's his first game, manufactures those 3 TDs. It's more dramatic at Soldier Field than it had to be. But as part of that poise, I think he was talking about it yesterday or the day before when he chatted with the media. One thing he's working on is being more accurate on the move when he's on the run. Now, he was super accurate on that touchdown pass to T.J. Hawkinson.
That was unbelievable.
He threw a freaking Yamamoto fastball over Justin Jefferson's head while running straight at him. Should have been easy pitch and catch. One thing that I'm looking for, and I'm hoping that it comes to fruition, is just being more accurate in general. Like, if you look back, that throw he made near side going right to left to Jordan Addison in coverage, beautiful throw.
Great throw.
The timing route and Justin Jefferson, masterclass route runner on the far side boundary. I mean, as beautiful as it gets.
In real time when he made that throw, and I'm sitting next to Dane Mizutani of the Pioneer Press, and I was like, whoa. I screamed in the press box. It was an unbelievable throw.
An extra mean mugged you because there's no cheering in the press box.
Yeah, I got my credential pulled,
but more accurate in general. Like, in some ways, I look at that pick that he threw, and I'm thinking, I kind of need Jalen Naylor to secure that and not turn that into the situation that it was in. But some of those other moments, while the pick was wonky, I'm thinking about, in desperate fashion, that short throw he made to T.J. Hawkinson. That was kind of lucky. And then the second pick that was thrown but was bailed out by penalty, if you remember that later.
That was not a good throw.
And so for part of that poise, part of him handling the calm and being calmer at U.S. Bank Stadium this weekend, I think lends to him being more accurate on the field. That's the very first, that'd be the A topic for me if I'm looking at, like, what's another step for Mr. McCarthy.
Let's peer into Baltimore's offensive approach versus Brian Flores' defense, and when we get to IHOP at 10 o'clock in honor of Paul, as in Paul Charchi, and it's a fantasy bit. Running backs are the bill of fare today, and when thinking running backs or running games with Baltimore, you have in fullback Patrick Ricard, who's 300 pounds, and tailback Derrick Henry, who's 222-ish pounds. You're looking at 522 pounds of beef coming at
That's a lot of beef.
behind a quarterback who also is big and sturdy.
You say 222?
Yeah, he might be heavier than that.
He looks 250.
I think Derrick Henry's nothing short of 255.
Might be 252 then, but nevertheless,
It's a lot of beef.
you got some quarter-ton Covenant
On 1,000 hills up in that mix.
coming right at you, and neither one of those arrive at your house in a box. But nevertheless, you got 3 tight ends who are also adept at run blocking. So Baltimore's offensive approach versus Beat Flow's defense, what y'all thinking about that?
I'm glad you mentioned the tight ends and Patrick Ricard, because this is a team that is going to do what has given the Vikings some trouble throughout this season in terms of they are going to play with heavy personnel.
Yeah.
They're going to play with 2 tight ends. They have Isaiah Likely. They have Mark Andrews. And then they have a guy, Charlie Kohler, who I did not know before I watched the film. And I'm not sure how great he is, but they've got him.
He catches
and then
touchdowns.
they're gonna go 3 tight ends, 13 personnel, and they're gonna go with 22 personnel. They're gonna play with fullback. They're gonna play with multiple tight ends, and they're gonna force you to stop the run out of those looks. They're also gonna throw out of those looks. I mean, this Ravens offense does everything. They will spread you out. They will smash mouth you vertically on the interior. So it's a lot to be cognizant of. For me, it's can you contain Lamar? Can you stop the run first and foremost?
Yep.
And then can you contain Lamar and plaster in coverage when he is scrambling and darting around the way he does? And having Andrew Van Ginkel, for me at least, it gives me a lot of confidence that you can do that at a level that I think they need to.
Derrick Henry, 252 pounds. Patrick Ricard, 300. That is a quarter-ton Covenant. It's a 2-man jumbo package coming at everything that's purple and gold.
Did you just look up how many pounds is in a ton? You were on your phone. I was kind of like,
No, we used to refer to ourselves as the quarter-ton
Yeah.
Covenant. And we've tried to work on our weight issues. I still got a ways to go.
I feel like for week 10, you guys look, spectacular.
Mid-season form, we're just trying
In
to
what
keep
ways?
up.
The hair looks good. That's
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Yeah,
but
I love your glasses. Were they
thank
new?
you.
You wouldn't believe the girdle I have on right now.
Yeah. Anyway.
I thought it was a chastity belt.
Anyway, go Elks.
Well, if you thought the Eagles were working you with Fred Johnson, if you thought the Steelers and that mammoth mountainous tight end Darnell Washington was a problem, you're right, man. The 3 tight ends and Ricard, like how they're going to deploy them is going to be the best of what we've kind of had trouble with in 2025. Now, with Lamar, it's kind of playing the contain game. I am kind of interested because they want to work in. They'd love to just run for 300 yards this weekend, and Flores is going to try to mitigate that. But the issue, if they're any bit successful on the run early, then that play action game, like they'll want to get Lamar booting out, and then buy that extra second or two to hit one of the 7 tight ends on the field. And the crazy thing about this team, where the Eagles kind of rely on Saquon greatness and then huge explosives to the highlight wide receivers, I kind of think like the Ravens are built, if you need to make them go 17 plays, I don't think they care. Because they can get explosive with Zay Flowers, and they have some of those elements, but that's generally due to a coverage breakdown, where they're more than happy to get you 4 yards with Derrick Henry. Then they're going to hit you with some stupid out pass to Justice Hill that goes for 7 to the boundary, and he moves the chains. And then there's going to be a tight end that gets loose in the soft zone, and then now it's Mark Andrews for 25. So I think the contain game with Lamar, Javon Hargrave has a tremendous game, and you want him to wreak havoc again. But there's kind of that weird, nexus, or it has to be synchronized where Renard and Van Ginkel, where they get that initial bull rush push. But then in some ways, it's like that sack could be right there.
Right.
But you can't take the cheese, man.
It's selfless.
Oh,
you got to play so selfless. I will say this, too. And I was talking to Jonathan Grenard in the locker room about this yesterday. In that Lions game, they did a ton of dropping the edge rushers. And Jonathan Grenard was dropping into coverage way more than he would like to, than he ever does. And he was willing to do it because it's what led to the victory. And like Grenard yesterday talking to him, he's like, we don't care at this point. I don't care what my sack number is, as long as we are generating wins. And I think when you are at that place as a team, you feel pretty good. But you're right. Like that conversation is correct. Javon Hargrave is going to want to create sacks, and it's going to be incumbent upon him and the rest of that front on Sunday to just be very mindful, very aware of where Lamar is at all times.
No, and I think, he takes more than 3 sacks a game. Lamar does. So you're going to get to mash on him a little bit. But I'm almost curious if this is one of those games where it's get your hands up. Whether it's Jalen Redmond, let's all take a note from Levi Drake Rodriguez and blocking that kick. Like, get your hands up versus forcing Lamar into a spot ultimately that is advantageous to him when he gets outside. Let's make it tough on Lamar at the line where if you're Hargrave and Allen and Redmond, etc., and even on the edge, like, this is a good knockdown game. Like, batted passes at the line, and that's in the midst of forcing Lamar to do something he doesn't want to do, which is kind of just hang in the pocket and try to be a quarterback.
Alec Lewis's inclusion is courtesy of Steve's Appliances and stevesappliances.com. Big old 7,000 square foot showroom in Mounds View with Black Friday deals taking place right now. stevesappliances.com. Go see Brian and/or Sarah and mention the Friday football feast. Sent you the way of Steve's Appliances or stevesappliances.com. And finally, before the former game-changing linebacker arrives, Chad Greenway should be here within the next 10 minutes. Nordo and I were discussing the Vikings offense yesterday, and a team speed related advantage that I'm convinced the Vikings have in this game. With Naylor, Addison, Hawkinson he's a fast tight end, but let's just think Addison, Naylor, Jefferson. Jones limited in practice yesterday. We'll learn more today. But of the backs, he's the speedier of the two. And man, I'd like, that run, the runs that they use with Jordan Addison, or when they put Jefferson in the backfield, and you watch back all the offensive plays multiple times, so you see what edge guys, linebackers, and safeties are doing when Jefferson's back there.
I love when they do that.
Well, so do I. They start to tripping out a little bit. There are a lot of things off which you can do when you have that formation. Now, yesterday I went back to the London game, and it's Jalen Naylor's only run this year. Went for 16 yards. It was effortless. I'd like to see them run him certain ways, jet sweeps, end arounds, reverses, whatever. I'd like to see them utilize that speed 10 of 10 against this version of a defense they're facing this week. And what do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, their front is not like the Browns in London, where that front plays just vertical attacking, hair on fire. This Ravens front is more of your big body, kind of occupy gaps. They'll play Kyle Hamilton on the edge, and if you run a jet sweep towards him, he will sniff it out. I mean, he sees stuff pretty clearly. But you're right.
Like, they're using Hamilton this year ways they never have. But I don't think it's revelatory where it's like, hey, look at what he can do.
I'd argue that.
I think they're using him as a linebacker hybrid kind of Metellus type because they lack speed in their front seven and they need that youthful vigor.
No, you're right. They're like defensive front edge rushers, interior defensive line. Those guys are not menacing. Now they acquired Draymond Jones. He'll probably play in the game. Is he spectacular? No. Is he more capable than the guys they've had? Yes, but Kyle Hamilton. So this entire, if you look at Ravens defensive statistics for this year, you're probably not going to be blown away. But this is an entirely different unit than what they were 3 weeks ago. Why? They acquired Alohi Gilman from the Chargers. Yep. He plays the deep safety, which allowed them to move Kyle Hamilton near the line of scrimmage. And Kyle Hamilton is like Andrew Van Ginkel in safety form. He just sniffs out stuff. He's versatile. He gets into crevices. He's just a really good player.
Yeah.
And so that has transformed their defense in a way that makes this team overall more dynamic than they were really for a lot of this year.
Alec Lewis, The Athletic, theathletic.com. Eric Nordquist, Nordo, producer of 9 to Noon, and I'm Paul Allen. Hey, welcome to the Friday Football Feast, ladies and gentlemen. Elk River always shows out beautifully. When we return as part of the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list, one of the great defensive players in the history of Minnesota Vikings football, walking in, he's not walking, he's sauntering. That's what a sachet looks like, ladies and gentlemen. Next segment, we begin chatting Vikings, Ravens, and much more with Chad Greenway. But first, we head back to FM 100.3 KFAN. Devin Ward has the cash thing. Good morning, Devin.
Good morning, PA. The Fan and Two Men in a Junk Truck want to give you a shot to win some bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword dollar at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That's keyword dollar. Enter it now at KFAN.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Friday Football Feast. Buffalo Wild Wings, Elk River. From the fighting city of Mount Vernon, South Dakota, by way of the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Minnesota Vikings. One of the great defensive players in the history of Minnesota Vikings football has arrived, courtesy of Grey Duck Vodka and Grey Duck Spirits.
Thank you.
We got witnesses. We got plenty of witnesses now, but can we have more for Chad Greenway, ladies and gentlemen? Hey!
Unbelievable.
Hello.
It's got chills.
What's up, big boy?
Am I playing this weekend? What's going on now?
I don't know, but
Goodness.
you know what's going to happen right now.
Uh-oh.
Down memory lane we go.
Wait, who do we play this week? Okay, the Ravens. Yeah.
Baltimore Ravens.
This could be good or bad.
No, it's
Probably gonna be bad. The way he always gives you some.
No.
Mostly good.
You played the Ravens twice. You went 1-1 against the Ravens. You beat them in 2009. In 2009, you had 10 tackles. They were all solo tackles. 10 tackles, 10 solos. I mean, that's
so the boy can't give me a couple assists, get that thing to 12 or 13?
I mean,
help, please.
People are like, Ray Lewis who? Ed Reed where? I mean, I got Chad Greenway running all over the place. Now, that was the game.
Underrated.
Hauschka, the former Vikings kicker, missed at the wire.
Oh, yeah.
Third game of the year. So that 2009 team improves to 3-0. Now, what's interesting is the quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens that day, Joe Flacco, the same guy who just went for 474 last Sunday against the Chicago Bears.
Your favorite quarterback to ever play the game.
My level of respect for Joe Flacco is 10 of 10. How can it not be?
You love him.
I mean, I expect new schoolers like you to not appreciate history, equity, or like those who came before you.
Yeah.
But that's why you have Chad and I.
Yeah.
Because 16 years later, he's going for 474.
That is
crazy.
impressive.
When you played Flacco there, then subsequently in 13, did you know that he'd be like a Super Bowl MVP and he was like high end?
No, did not know that. But he just had that prototypical statue type quarterback, but yet does not get the credit for his pocket mobility and ability to throw the ball. Now, arm talent's incredible. And the dude just keeps making plays.
16 years from that point is crazy.
I think
It's unbelievable.
but you think about the quarterback position, like you are allowed with the rules and the changes, like in the protection, like you don't really get hit that much anymore. And if you do get hit, it's got to be like you have to be kindly set down on the ground, gently. So like he's going to play for another 3 or 4 years. Like why wouldn't you? They're paying him a bunch of money.
And now 2013, all right. Anybody remember the Vikings at the Ravens in 2013, that snow game with all the points in the fourth quarter?
We got some
Cordero
real fans in the back.
I've said this to Nordo before, maybe Chad Greenway. From a betting standpoint, all right, if like for whatever the reason into the game, you looked at the over-under and then you played the weather game and you're like, you know what? I think it's going to be windy and snowy that day, but it doesn't exactly look that way, but it could hit. So I'm going to smash this under, all right, whatever the total in the game was. So how about this? 2013 at M&T Bank Stadium, the Ravens, who won the game, they led the Vikings 7-3 at halftime. At the end of 3 quarters, it was 7-6 Ravens. The final score was 29-26 Ravens.
Wow.
There were 42 points scored in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
If you played an under in that game,
Disaster.
you should never bet again. I mean, that's pretty much the end of the equation because that thing went soaring over. Chad had 11 tackles in that game and an interception.
Wow.
All you do is intercept Joe Flacco. All you do is have big games against the Ravens. That has to be one you'll never forget. That game
was incredible from the jump with the snow just pouring down. The first down of the game I'll never forget because I'm like, this was 2013.
Yeah,
Like,
13.
we had technology. We had nice things. Like, how can they miss the first down by like 2.5 feet, and the guy, he just goes, boom, just hits you with one of these. And you're like, okay, this is going to be a long day.
Yeah.
And then, and all of a sudden, the clouds clear, the field is cleared off, and then all of a sudden, we have Audie Cole back in the end zone, trauma at the end of that game.
What do you mean?
I had a pass interference during that drive.
You did?
Which was a BS call, of course.
Why you got to put the game-winning touchdown on Audie Cole?
I'm saying he was near that spot. It was a good passing catch.
Marlon Brown.
And it was just an incredible fourth quarter.
Okay.
The ups and downs, the back and forth, the long scores. It was a sweet game.
Yeah, that was a catch with like 7-8 seconds left, wasn't
yeah,
it?
it was traumatic.
2013, it was Martellus Bennett. Week 2, it was the Browns and Jordan Cameron.
It
Like
is.
getting
Oh,
nipped
wow.
at the
Yeah,
wire,
Jordan
man.
Cameron.
Oh,
Yes.
what a season that
100%.
was.
Yeah, that fourth quarter had, I don't know how long it was, a Cordero Patterson screen.
It was like 70 yards.
It's like 70-some-odd yards.
Toby Gerhardt, though.
He went for a long one. Jacoby Jones on a kick return from like 90. I mean, it was an unbelievably fun game outside of the outcome. Now, in closing here, and I think it's analogous to the Sunday game involving the Ravens running game, but 3 tight ends. All right, so in that 2013 game that you lost 29-26, you had an unbelievably good game. Ed Dixon, Dennis Pitta, and Marlon Brown. Those were the three of the tight ends for the Ravens. They all caught touchdowns.
You know who was on that roster? This is going to shock you.
Hod Teep.
Did not play because he was just moved over from the Colts.
Wow.
Dallas Clark.
Oh, wow.
Iowa native.
And he didn't play.
Didn't play.
All right, well, Pitta, Dixon, and Brown all had touchdowns, so I mean, I guess they were all Audie Cole's fault.
Oh, yeah, gosh, wasn't me. Let's not pull up the all-22.
So in this game, the Ravens with Andrews and Likely and the 3 tight ends they used with this 300-pound fullback, Patrick Ricard, Derrick Henry's 252. So you got a quarter ton of jumbo package coming at you with the fullback and the running back, but the tight ends too. I think what happened in 2013 with the way they used their tight ends is kind of analogous to this weekend with this beef-eating bunch of Ravens coming in here at 3 and 5.
Yeah, and good morning, by the way.
Good morning.
What I would say is, if this was a week before this last game against Detroit, we'd have the same conversation we had last week. But then all of a sudden, you go play Detroit Detroit, and you're like, wait a second, is this the football team that we thought we had in September when we started this game or the season? Previous to injuries, previous to Van Ginkel, the Cashman bit, the whole deal. And all of a sudden, you go to Detroit, and you're the most physical team in the building. Yeah. You run the football, you stop the run, you make the plays.
Yeah.
AJ's getting energy in the end of the game. Now you look at this game and say, hey, if we can slow down the beef, right? If we can match up to their 3 tight end sets and get the fullback on an edge and bring down the horse in the back, which was how I knew that I should retire when Derrick Henry came in the NFL. I'm like, yep, the game's moved past.
Wait, that's right. You played against him in his first game at Tennessee.
Yeah, he's like
out of
this
Alabama.
he's just an absolute problem.
Well, that's what I was thinking. You were joking at the beginning. It's like, ooh, feel this vibe with the crowd. It's like, am I playing this weekend? How much would it cost to get you to lace him up and just sit there and try and tackle Derrick Henry all
First
day?
of all, look at me. I could give you 20 right now, easy. I give you 20 snaps all day long. But that's all I could give you.
Yeah.
And I would prefer them to be on third down when Derrick Henry's not in the game.
Passing down specifically.
Actually, I prefer not to ever have to hit Patrick Ricard again, a fullback in my life.
How about that?
That definitely is. I'm in retirement mode on that one. This could be the battle of fullbacks? Is CJ back?
Yeah, he's been limited 2 days, but I
think he'll be back.
It might be Ham versus Ricard here in this game.
It's kind of fun.
Right.
I like fullbacks.
Love fullbacks.
And CJ's game.
Yes, he is.
I think we've missed his presence at times from a pass blocking
1,000%
standpoint.
love CJ Ham's
in particular.
That was great. I was thinking that because you're talking about tackling Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I was thinking before the Lions game, like we were out at practice maybe the day before, and Blake Cashman's out there. I'm like, this guy's body is about to go through just carnage.
Yeah.
And I don't like. I was just. I mean, it's one of those days where I'm standing out there at practice, not really doing anything, thinking like, how could you possibly lay it on the line like that and then somehow recover in 5 days? I mean, I know it's so general and you dealt with it for years.
You do when you kind of take step back and look at the perspective of like you do this for 16 weeks and there's I think for 8 years in a row, like 8.5 years in a row, I didn't miss a game. You're playing linebacker, you're playing so many snaps, over thousands of snaps a year, and then your body just continues to come back, and you understand why you get wore down. All of a sudden you turn 31, 32, your body can't recover. And all of a sudden you get up on Wednesday when you have practice that day, you're like, oh Lord, like how am I going to get this done? And there were days that you did not know how you were going to get through practice, but you knew that if you had to get through Wednesday, you would just feel better. You get your body moving, you get the aches and pains out of the way, you come in, you take care of your body, obviously you recover, you jump in that cold tub, and everything would just melt away.
Sure.
You probably have to jump in the hot tub the next morning, you get loosened up. And it's just one of those things you just constantly are dealing with recovery to get yourself back, because at that point, like, it is an absolute battle. And some games like this game, you are going to feel it. You're coming off a Detroit game where you're going back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
By the way, we have a bunch of guys coming off injuries where you're going to have two of the most physical teams in the NFL back-to-back. And when I looked at that stretch before we beat the Lions, it was like physical. You're going to play another physical game in a couple weeks. Like, this is going to be a toe-to-toe battle.
Can I ask you something about that Lions game? And we talked about it a bit yesterday with your guy Lieber. Andrew Van Ginkel returning from injury, and you see all the snaps, and he's making plays, immediately making an impact on the game. But there was a moment where Khalif Raymond rolls in and just smacks him, kind of blindsides him a bit, puts him on his back. He still makes the tackle on Gibbs, by the way. It was a terrific play. But there was just kind of the idea that the word dirty being bandied about over the course of the week. Like, I don't see Khalif Raymond as an inherently dirty player per se, but is there an element where when a guy returns from injury, like specifically, let's say on offense, like Derrick Henry's coming back from an ankle. Like when you try to tackle, you're going to try and make sure that ankle's okay, right?
Well, you want to check it out.
How do you approach that?
You want to check it out.
You want to take a peek.
But you might say that before the game. Say, hey, this guy's got a bum ankle. When you go after him, you're gonna go low. You want to twist. Or so, you might have that conversation in passing, and then the game starts, and you realize how hard it is to target one specific part of the body when there's a million things going on. You're coming off a block. You got to go tackle this freak in the flat. Like, I'm just going to get this guy down at some point, hopefully. And if I don't, hopefully my boys come and save me. Like, this idea, like, that it was on purpose and because Van Ginkel's come back from injury, I don't believe that.
Really?
But these plays do happen in football all the time.
So you're saying the guy who, when he got the job, said that we're going to eat kneecaps or we're going to break. What did he say? How did he put it?
We're going to bite their kneecaps.
We're going to bite kneecaps. You're telling me maybe one of the two most important players to the Minnesota Vikings defense missing 5 games because of a neck, and you got Khalif Raymond cracking him the way Khalif Raymond never cracks anybody, neck snaps, neck hits ground. You're telling me Dan Campbell was not pushing the envelope just to make sure this guy's squared away off the injury layout?
I'm telling you, he did not do that on purpose.
Wow.
Now,
Okay.
I think that play might have been set to set the tone on Van Ginkel to say, hey,
welcome back.
I can agree with you to say it's going to be a test, to see where he's at. But at the same time, like, for it to be done in a cheap way, I just can't.
Oh, I ain't saying. No, I'm not saying. Yeah, I'm not saying that he's like go out there and cheap shot him.
I think it was a test. To your point, but I don't think it was like a hey, let's go low, let's go try to hurt this guy.
No, yeah,
it was more like let's go test him. I agree with that.
The Lions do play on a. I mean, if they
on the fringe
toe the line,
yes.
I mean, they are on the line.
100%.
I mean, it's like, I mean,
have you ever seen Dan Campbell film from when he played?
Yeah.
Can you imagine playing against that mountain?
Oh, you're right.
An absolute problem. Like, he was like, he's like a mean Jim Kleinsaucer.
Yeah, right.
He's the strongest. He's the nastiest. He's going to be the dirtiest. And he's not like dirty in a way where it's like within the rules, but like always on the edge of the line. That's how he coaches his football team. And by the way, that's what set them apart in the league for the last 4 or 5 years, wherever how long has been.
Right.
And it's that physicality, that edge, that kind of part of football that we fell in love with. Now that the game has certainly changed away from that, this would be a mild-mannered team 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Everybody played this way. It's just that the game has changed so much that all of a sudden we're like, this is different. We're going to be physical at the line of scrimmage, and we're going to try to beat people up at the line of scrimmage. What? Like,
that is football.
Like Coach Childress's first training camp I was a part of in 06, all we did was beat the absolute bleep out of each other for the first 2 weeks, so we could get tough at the line of scrimmage and be the best football team. That was normal. Now it's abnormal because you don't do it.
Wow.
They do it in Elk River, though.
Yeah.
Do it in Elk River.
They'll be doing it Saturday.
Tight formation.
In the playoffs, won't they, Elk River, make a little noise?
I've heard about they have an
no
offense,
chance.
the Power T or something. It's like some hidden
You never
ball.
know where the ball is.
Yeah. I was looking it up last.
It's actually
I had
easier.
a buddy texting
It's
me.
easier on the stream because you're up above. If you're in the stands or standing along the rope, you're standing by the rope. In that high school game, you have no idea where the ball is until the guy blows the whistle.
Right. I texted Wes Phillips. I'm like, you guys could put it. No, I didn't.
Hey, I like that idea actually.
Hey, who is the closest quarterback you ever played against that would mirror or mimic or in some ways do what Lamar Jackson does from an athleticism standpoint? The only name that pops in my head, and we mentioned him, PA mentioned him yesterday, like a Michael Vick.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, now it feels like the massive trend, of course, is more and more QBs, maybe the majority of them, are closer to being more of the athletic, make plays with your feet while eyes downfield.
Yeah, Lamar is a running quarterback.
But exactly to that point, which was kind of more the case years ago where they were more unicorn-like. Like, is it maybe just Vic? Is there anybody else you can think of that they were gonna pressure you with the run, maybe even more so than they do through the air?
Yeah, college football has changed the NFL. What it's producing in the RPO game and the running quarterbacks and the athletes, the Jaden Daniels, the guys, the Lamar Jackson coming in the league has changed the NFL. Because all of a sudden, what are we going to go get? We don't have a bunch of Joe Flacco's coming out, right? Sitting back there, patting the ball, 5-step drops. We have guys coming out being athletic. Now all of a sudden, as a defensive coordinator, say, okay, I got to deal with him running the ball. He might go down the line and pull it and have a deep ball down the sidelines. Like, he can do everything. So Mike Vick's a good example, and the only goal with Mike Vick was just not to go on his highlight tape because he was an absolute problem. Like, you had no idea what was going to happen. No, just a laser of an arm. I remember Jamarcus Sanford got broke off by Mike Vick, and I was just like, ooh, that's trying to make the tackle.
In 2010?
Yeah, the key is just take a shot at him. If you miss, you miss, but don't try to be Mike Vick.
And think your way through
If you break down, he's going to beat you, by the way. So I think Cam Newton would be somewhat of an example. It's just that Cam was Cam, I'm there, the hat guy. He was just so big and physical, but yet athletic and fast, where he would keep it.
And he was a running quarterback.
Yeah, and on 3rd and 1 or 2, like they're going to use Cam to get the first down. It's the same thing we should be doing with our quarterback, by the way, which with his feet were so important last week in Detroit. Let's put our guy in that spot because it's hard to defend. Like, let him run some RPO stuff and get down the line of scrimmage and make that end, make a choice.
Yeah.
Like, we can do that, and it gets him in the game and it gets him fired up, and we like when JJ's fired up and with emotion because he plays better.
You mentioned it last. I'll let PA go.
When 9 comes out?
You mentioned, 9 comes out.
When 9 comes out.
The 9 bits, Dom.
You mentioned last week using his legs, and they do it in that moment.
Yeah.
And he scrambles for the touchdown. I was thinking of, as he did that, it was like you were yelling for it last week, and Chan has it.
Well, it's just so hard to defend when you add an element where this guy can run. Now all of a sudden you go play man coverage and your back is turned, you better have a spy. Now all of a sudden you pull a guy out of the rush because you have to spy him because you're worried about him.
Weekend for that.
Now all of a sudden you have 3 guys rushing. Now your O-line is just easier. Or you send pressure at him because he's a young guy and we're going to cover all these gaps up and we're going to make him make a play. And that's really what you have to do from an option standpoint. So I just like mixing some of that in early. And all of a sudden the corner is saying, wait a second, there's another element here we have to see.
Chad Greenway, ladies and gentlemen. Chad Greenway! We have another segment with 5-2 Radio, courtesy of Grey Duck Vodka and Grey Duck Spirits around the corner from a festive Buffalo Wild Wings Elk River. This is the Friday football. We'll be right back. All right, back to Vikings-Ravens analysis with the game changer, Chad Greenway. 5-2 Radio is in the air momentarily. But first, a very special happy 35th birthday, Josh Melton. Happy birthday, Josh, from your wife, Hope, who absolutely loves you. Round of applause. It's my man's birthday. He's at the feast, all right? Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Secondly, my man here, I don't know his name. What's your name?
Jake.
He's here to talk about hockey for a second. It's junior hockey. Minnesota Squatch. Go crazy, Minnesota Squatch. Make some noise. What is that? What is that?
We're a junior hockey team here in Elk River. It was established in 2022 by Chick Pojar. We have kids from all around the world, Europe, Italy, Austria, Ukraine, all around the United States. So we're just here. If anyone wants some free tickets to our games, we play next Wednesday in Elk River and Friday, I think. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right, so they're members of said Squatch are sitting right here with these sweet sweaters, by the way. Love your sweaters. Is there a website where people can learn more about the squad?
Yeah, it's just the MinnesotaSquatch.com, I assume. Yeah.
Thanks, bud. Good luck, all right?
All right, thank you.
Good guess.
Round of applause for the
Google it.
squad.
I assume.
And finally, as we mentioned earlier, Elk River High School has a big high school football game this weekend against
Go Elks.
Minneapolis Washburn. Let's go Elks.
The Power T.
The Vox, who stops by every single year to say hello to us, has a message for everybody.
Hey, you Elk River fans.
Hey!
Woo! I'm going to make a call.
Oh, boy.
And when I point at you, I want you to say first down as loud as you can. All right, here we go.
This is phenomenal.
Move them chains, boys. That's another Elk River.
Well done.
Hey, high five, man. Go Elk.
That was electric.
All right, that's great.
Nice work.
Now back to the lesson at hand. Go Squatch, go Elks, go Josh Melton, go Hope. And here we are, Buffalo Wild Wings Elk. Cookie Man. Round of applause for the Cookie Man over there, bringing just the best homemade cookies every single
Shout
week.
out. It's just shout out sesh.
You can
Yeah.
do
Well,
flowers.
I know I'm going to
You
gain
can
10
flowers.
pounds every football season because of the Friday football feast because of Cookie Man. His cookies are unbelievably
I told
good.
you look good.
You think I'm not going to put 10 of those down tonight watching Timberwolves and Utah? Come on, man.
Come on,
10
man.
chilled milk, we're good. Chad, let me ask this question, then the surrogates can have at it. But when it comes to scheming or preparing for a football game, how much more difficult or tricky is it preparing for an AFC team, for a team from the NFC North, an AFC team compared to a team from your division like the Lions?
It's definitely different because obviously when you play a team twice, you see them more often, you know their tendencies more. Obviously it depends on coaching change, and shift is all a thing that happens every year. But when you see a team less often, right? When you see a team once every 4 years, it just gets to be a bigger challenge on how you're going to deal with it. Now, obviously, these Ravens are a problem in several ways, and I think when you look at it, you got to go do a deep dive and trust your staff, who's put the research in and done the film study on what these guys do from a tendency standpoint out of their different formations and looks.
Right.
You know, because every time you go to a bye week, what's the team going to do? They're going to self-scout. What do we do too often? What are our tells? And I think when you do that, you know, that's why some staffs are better than others. By the way, the Ravens staff is really good. So they know how to self-scout. They know how important this stretch of their season is to get back into this thing. This is a huge game for both teams. I'm excited to see how we handle it. I'm excited to see the new wrinkles that we put in. But I'm also excited to see how we can defend some of their stuff that's going to be a problem.
Well, I'm kind of curious. So Brian Flores, what we saw from his defense last week against a divisional opponent. Flores is not Ben Johnson anymore, but he's seen that team, he's seen those weapons, and you could feel that there were very specific, almost like off-season bar napkins in pockets. Like I'm gonna have this ready for when we face the Kitties, and thankfully it worked out. Right, we win the game. But when you do face that AFC opponent, you mentioned wrinkles, but I'm almost thinking in some ways, does it get simplified over the course? Like at a base level, you're going into a game with a lot of unknowns and maybe a lot of plans to attack once those things reveal themselves. But is it almost like we start a little more simplistic and then we dig deep and adjust throughout the game, maybe adding to the difficulty of the challenge?
Yeah, I mean, so that's what, you go to training camp, you put in your base stuff, your base coverages, your base defenses, your base fronts, and you have the wrinkles you put in, which is a part of your defense. And then you go game plan somebody. And now you're going to go and you're going to pick something from training camp that you put in and say, hey, remember this. We're going to put this back in and reinstall it this week. And we're going to add a wrinkle because Lamar can run it, right? And we're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to add this pressure because we like that he's weak off, looking off the backside. Or he can't throw to his left as well. Whatever it is that they have found, and they'll add that wrinkle into the playbook, and then they'll reinstall it this week throughout their week. So you go on, first day is first and second down on Wednesday, and on Thursday you can do third down, short yardage, etc. You kind of build throughout your week to add these wrinkles in. And you're more bolting things on to what your fundamentals are than adding something completely new. Now, I think what's interesting about like that, what I asked for last week defensively was just do less. Like, don't get yourself in this position where you're trying to do too much and you're making mistakes. And now those guys these teams, which are really good, are finding the mistakes. These quarterbacks are so good. They're going to find where that guy, his eyes were bad. He's going to throw over the top of you. Now, Lamar brings a whole nother gamut when he can run the football. So it's like, to me, a fast start offensively is so important to play ahead of these guys. If you can get, and then again, can you stop?
Chase Lamar.
Can you run the football and force Lamar to beat you with his arm? Let's check his playoff record. And we know what happens when he gets behind the chains and he has to throw to beat you. They want to run the football and establish that ground game. We have to focus and have a game plan very similar to last week.
I just want to ask you about Eric Wilson. This guy, second on the Vikings in pressures behind Jonathan Grenard.
Love it.
He was incredible in that game, making tackles on Jahmyr Gibbs on the edge, not an easy thing to do. Just what have you thought watching this guy who was signed to be a special teams ace?
Yeah.
And now he's playing the majority, the lion's share of linebacker snaps next to Blake.
Yeah, and he's earned it. I mean, this is not, when you're a special teams guy in your career, it's so hard to get out of that, hey, you're just a special teams guy. Like, very few have ever done it. And I think when he is now a linebacker that we're going to look to say he's a playmaker, he's a problem. He is an absolute physical specimen freak.
In the locker room, it's like
his body.
Would you like how many guys would you need to take on that guy?
It doesn't even make sense genetically, like that him and I are the same species. Like, it just is ridiculous. But now you look at it, and Eric Kendrick had a great post on Instagram about him, just how like he's just always been good. This is not new if you're around in the locker room. Like, at practice, he's good. In training camp, he's good. When he gets an opportunity, he's good.
He's splashy off
this
the bench.
year, and he's flashy, and but he's also solid and stable, making these really hard tackles against Jahmyr Gibbs, one of the best guys in space in the league. Like, he played a massive role in last week, and he's going to play a bigger role this week with what they're going to do and honestly what we're going to ask him to do defensively because they have Lamar. How are we going to spy? How are we going to approach his running? When we want to play man coverage and everybody's backs are turned, how are we going to stop Lamar from pulling the ball down and going and getting a first down?
Yeah.
You got to spy him. You got to be smart on your rush lanes. You can't get above the quarterback. Let him spin out. Like, you got to cage rush him to keep him in.
Is there an element to this where so last week we saw a couple of safeties, both Theo Jackson at times and Harrison Smith, and we've seen this from 2-2 forever, where he'll come up pre-snap to the line. Is he going to blitz? What's he going to do? And then he just bails out. I almost feel bad with him. He has to run like 100 yards pre-snap just to get into his spot. But one thing we didn't see is a lot of window dressing or pre-snap motion, specifically from the linebackers. We weren't switching, and maybe that's the simplicity that you were talking about. Is that a game-to-game situation where it's like Goff is just so damn smart, and he's seen this team so much, he's seen Flores so much, we're just going to disguise by chilling. Whereas maybe against the Lamar, maybe against the Ravens defense, forget game plans or intelligence or anything. It's just he doesn't know Flores the way that maybe the Lions do, that maybe that's where we see some more pre-snap motion and we attempt to confuse the runner.
Remember when Goff was with Jeff Fisher and nobody was scared of him at all?
Yeah.
And then now we're in Detroit and we have all these, it's
crazy.
Jared Goff's the smartest guy and just winning games all the time. Here's what I'll say about that. They're going to identify on film what Lamar struggles with pre-snap. They have a little center that's really, really good at football. He might be an Iowa Hawkeye as well.
Yeah, Linderbaum.
He's one of the best players in the league that nobody knows about.
But it's so strange because he's so athletic and he's and he has these creatures, Falele and Voorhees.
Falele's a gopher, right?
Yeah, former gopher. Yeah.
So, remember Tristan Wirfs tackle for the Bucks, right?
Oh yeah.
Wirfs or Linderbaum beat Wirfs in high school state wrestling in Iowa.
Wow.
Imagine that.
That's unbelievable.
Those two studs. So my point being is you want to know how to play with leverage. He knows how to play with leverage. He's smart. So my point in bringing him up is what makes that quarterback really good identifying what's going to happen is having a center who is prepared, really good, and knows what he's doing and gets his O-line set, gets that running back to block the edge because we're not sure what we're going to get. But we're going to make sure we get this protection set the right way to protect Lamar. And then, so those guys working together, that communication is going to be massive. But I promise you, B-Flow has identified some spots where we can get after Lamar where we think we can trick him. And we're going to use 22, I guarantee you, along with Metellus, to give him some looks and be creative. And I think it's going to be a tricky one here. A sneaky one is that interior rush against an athletic quarterback is so big. When we get that pressure, what's he want to do? Spin out and get outside. Ends have to be smart.
Yeah.
Ends have to hold the edge, and they cannot let him get outside and be athletic. He's going to do it a couple of times, but it cannot be a problem for us throughout the game.
Okay, in closing, help me with this. Maybe help us with this. And I brought it up several times this week. And the low-hanging fruit would be, all right, with Cashman, Van Ginkel,
Cashman,
and
so good.
Grenard.
He's so good.
Javon Hargrave has played 2 games with those guys. He has 3 sacks in those 2 games. All right, his snap count went from 18 to like 22 to like, 39? Mid to high 30s in this last game. All right, so snap count went way up. He responded. So from an interior defensive player standpoint, rushing, stopping the run or whatever, exactly of what you said, minimizes the potency of a player like Lamar Jackson. Why is it so important for Hargrave to have 43, 51, and 58?
Yeah, you just got to trust where everybody's going to be. Playing with somebody and understand how they're going to approach a gap in a scheme. You know, you played the scheme now through training camp and through the first part of the season, and you understand where that D lineman is going to be. It's actually more on the linebackers to adjust. So if I know how Hargrave's going to play a block, if I know he can hold up against a double team, or if I'm going to get scooped with 2 linemen, like how he's going to be able to hold up against that. Now as a linebacker, I can adjust to that. So for example, I knew how Kevin was going to take on that scoop block. I knew he was going to be way too athletic for those old linemen. He was going to be able to stay in front of those guys and be hard on that guard trying to get out because that center can't reach him. Now all of a sudden, I can come downhill harder if I get that guard pushed off of Kevin. Now Kevin's going to slide in that gap. I'm going to be downhill.
Wow.
And Kevin's going to make the play.
Wow.
Now, so playing with these guys now, as good as our backers have been, you're able to feed off of each other. And it's about, if I want to make a D lineman make a play, how can I get that lineman off of him to make him unengaged, and now all of a sudden he's one-on-one with the center? Now, we like that, right? Because, again, Linderbaum's really good, but we like him being in a one-on-one situation with our interior defensive lineman. So those are the things you learned off playing off each other, and also how much of that was an impact just schematically. The flow of the game last week. All of a sudden, we're not playing from behind the whole game. Like,
exactly.
We actually almost beat them in plays, which we still didn't somehow, but we were closer. Like, the flow of the game matters so much on who's playing, what personnel, how many third downs are we getting to? Are we getting them stopped? First and second outs, or 3rd and 12. Now the rush package comes out. So a lot of that plays into what snaps he's taking as well.
Bro, that was elite analysis right there.
Talking about being able to trust, that was good.
Yeah. Anything with GD? Anything with Grey Duck Spirits today, this weekend?
Grey Duck Spirits. Just, we've been so bought into Minnesota, and Minnesota's been buying to us. Make sure you go out. You're going to support the Vikes this week. Elk River's got a big game. We should probably go out there and go get some Grey Duck vodka and support that, don't you think? Yes, I think we should. Go grab it. Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Chad Greenway, ladies and gentlemen. He's a weekly staple for the Friday Football Feast. Man, you're fantastic. A fantasy focus from the Feast around the corner. And we'll continue the Feast from Buffalo Wild Wings, Elk River on KFAN after this.